All right, on to mandible. So these first few slides are anatomy basics, so I won't read those to you. You guys can read those on your own time, just anatomy-wise. So routines. Base date routine is we do a straight-on PA, an AP town. We do both obliques, and we use the head tilt tube angle combination, and we do a lateral. The lateral view is a made-up view. Basically, I don't even think it's in your textbook. So I'll teach you how to do that. A couple specialty views or alternate views, and then we do 40-inch SID. I tend to always use an 8x10 for most of mine, and I try and avoid photo timing, especially on the angled ones. So PA mandible, I usually do mine upright, standing with the patient facing the wall bucky. You can do it prone like this if you'd like. I find it to be a little bit awkward. But so your patient is going to be PA, most likely up against the wall stand. OML, all right, so we're going back to OML is perpendicular. Your central ray is going to exit at the lips. This is going to look really low. From the back, you're going to feel like you're doing a PA C-spine. But when you realize how the chin is tilted down and where the mandible sits, it will look less awkward, all right? So what I'm looking for here is a straight on of the mandible. This is showing an obvious fracture here and not rotated. This is just another anatomy picture of the parts identified for you. The AP town is really similar to that of the skull town. The degrees are just a little bit different. We prefer that you do it supine. It can be done upright. It's just a little bit awkward. Again, just like the skull town, you're going to use OML or IOML, depending on if your patient is able to tilt their chin or not. The degree angle is 35 caudad to OML and 42 caudad to IOML. So again, this is how I remember it. Higher degrees, more letters. So 42 for the IOML. Central ray is directly to the glabella. And this one is really focused on the condyles. So I don't want to see light way down here. You can collimate off the mentum. We don't need that. It's going to superimpose over the C-spine. So you do not need a wide open field of view for this. I don't want to see the top of the skull on. So cone it down. We're looking at the condyle specifically with no rotation, which this is identifying here, straight on. You don't need all of this, really. Okay, cone it in. The obliques. So the obliques in your textbook, there's multiple options. At the clinical site, we only do it one way. Despite where their pain is, we do it just the same for every patient. I start with the patient in AP position with their back against the board, and then I rotate their face towards the lateral position. So they're almost kind of leaning one of their shoulders up against the image receptor. I turn their face lateral, so they're one side of their face is closest to the image receptor. I bring their chin forward away from the C-spine, and then doing it AP like that brings the shoulder out of the way. If you attempt it PA, so if you start the patient facing, when you turn them lateral, because of the tube angle, you might superimpose the shoulder up into the mandible. So I don't tend to do mine PA. The side of interest is the side closest to the image receptor. And your textbook identifies certain positions for each area of the mandible. So when the head is in true lateral, it best demonstrates the ramus, and that has a tube angle of 25 degrees cephalad. The 10 to 15 degree rotation, so from true lateral, rotating the mandible 10 to 15 degrees, is considered a general survey. 30 degree rotation demonstrates the body, and 45 rotation best demonstrates the mental, which makes sense, right? Because the midpoint of your chin, when you bring that closest to the board, right, that's going to identify that mentum. So the highest degree of obliquity shows you that center point. At the hospital, we put that patient in, I start with them in true lateral, I tilt their forehead 15 degrees towards the IR. I pull the chin away from the C-spine, and I angle my tube 15. So I do a head tilt and a tube angle to sort of compensate for that. This is sort of what we do here. So see, their AP, their shoulders down here, their forehead tilts towards the board. I would jut that chin out a little further, and then you're going to angle your tube cephalad 15. All right. This is visualizing the part closest to the image receptor. And you're going to do both of these. So you do a right and a left. This one is a 30-degree rotation is for the body, which is right in here. Okay. The 45-degree, do you see how her chin is almost touching the image receptor? This is for the mentum. And then this is a 25-degree angle. That's going to show you here. This is just another anatomy picture here. Okay, this is showing an obvious fracture there. Okay, you can see these condyles really easily. If you have an unstable patient, you have a couple options. If they can lay on their side on the table, I don't put the cassette under their face. I put the cassette right in the table bucky. I drop their forehead towards the table, bring their chin away, and angle up just as if they were standing. So if they are they've had a little bit of alcohol on board, they're elderly, they can't really stand that well for you, I like to do mine on the table. If it's a trauma situation, they're in a neck collar, they can't lay on their side, you have to do what we call sort of a double angle. You want to angle 25 degrees cephalad and 5 to 10 degrees posterior to the area of interest. So that would be your trauma mandible position. I think I have that demonstrated here as well. So this is showing you also cassette tilt as well when you can't turn their head, but we can go through that in our lab situation, okay? Lateral mandible. Why do we do this? Well, our Panorex broke. So we started doing a lateral mandible. It's sort of silly because everything is superimposed, but the radiologist asked for it, so we do it. You can either do it standing upright, or you can do it cross table. So if they're supine, you can shoot cross table. Really similar to that of how to position for the lateral skull or lateral sinuses. I get them as close to that upright bucky as I can, keeping them in lateral position. That's just what it'll look like here. Some specialty views that I've never done, a PA axial mandible. So patient's PA, and it uses a 20 to 25 cephalad. This is apparently to better visualize the condyles or heads and neck, and it exits at the acanthion. Just a demonstration image there. The SMV mandible, I've also, we don't do routinely at our site, but it may be in your textbook or on your boards. Really similar to that of the SMV for sinuses or SMV for skull, or we'll do SMV for facial bones too. They're all really sort of similar. But IOML this time, I think for all of your SMVs, it's IOML. Central ray is just going to enter between the mandibular angles. Okay. And this is what you should see here. All right. Another picture here just with anatomy. The Panorex, also called the Ortho Pentagram. It's a long, silly word, sort of. But this is the machine. You most likely have had this at the dentist's office. Goes around your head, does a panoramic image. We had one for a long time, but then it broke and we never replaced it. But you want your IOML parallel to the floor, right? It's going to wrap around their head and it'll kind of look like this, okay? It gives you a full, we used to do it in addition to the mandible films for all of our trauma patients to help find fractures or anything like that. But you always want to remove all their jewelry, any partials in their mouth. You want to bring the patient as close as possible to the machine so their shoulders don't get in the way. Here's just an obvious fracture here going through the mandible. I feel like I always did these on Friday and Saturday nights when I worked third shift and the bars were kind of crazy, right? People were getting punched in the face. Here's a fracture here. See, the tooth is even dropped down in. I believe this is an abscess here. These little pockets. All right, this is just an image for frequency of mandibular fractures, where it fractures most often. I think condyle and body and angle are your highest, the mentum being next, and ramus and the coronoid process reining in at the end here. But just how you can have multiple fractures or bilateral fractures, multiple areas depending on what has gone on, but tends to be car accidents, physical assaults, motorbike accidents where they go sort of face first over the handlebars, something like that. This is showing you a potential surgery fixation for a mandible fracture. You can see the bar right here with the screws. And this was a CT reconstruction of that image. All right, TMJs. TMJs are really similar. We do not do these very often, so keep it in your books for that random time when you get it, because I've only done it once, I think, in my 15 years here. Oh, sorry, I skipped ahead. So TMJ routine, you're going to do the AP axial town method, and we do bilateral open-closed obliques with the 15 caudal angle. So the obliques are really almost exactly the same as your mandible obliques. You are just going to do a 15-degree angle down instead of up, right? So we're going to do a right and a left. Your textbook identifies specific methods, all right, for those. TMJ syndrome, I'm not going to read this slide to you. You guys can read it on your own. Possible dislocation. Usually something I think I want you to remember is it moves anteriorly, right? So for the dislocation, okay. So town view for TMJs, you're going to do 35 caudad to OML, central ray of the TMJ, which is essentially 2 inches anterior to EAM. Really similar to that of your mandible town, okay. The modified law method uses a skull rotation of 15 degrees towards the IR. So her face is rotated towards the Bucky here, all right? She's doing a closed mouth and an open mouth, all right? Your tube angle is 15 degrees down for both. So you're going to do a right closed, right open, left closed, left open. And this is what it should look like. So in this image here, this is what we're looking for, the TMJ, all right? The Schuler method uses an increased tube angle. So it uses a 25 to 30 degree caudad angle. The patient is kept in true lateral. They're not tilted, but again, an open and a closed, really similar, all right? So this is your difference here. So a closed mouth, it's in the joint space. Open mouth, it moves anteriorly. Remember that for your test. This is what TMJ series looks like on the Panorex machine. We also used to do these on the Panorex machine. So you would do one swoop around with their mouth closed, and the second would be with the mouth open. It shows you right and lefts, okay? This is kind of what the Panorex machine would look like. Going around their head, you tuck them way in close, and it wraps around their head. TMJ using CAT scan. Just a really detailed image. I thought this was a really beautiful picture here. And you can also do it in MRI. And that is mandible and